Michigan traveling to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. Penn State is about to expose the truth about this Michigan football team this year. There's a good amount of people who claim that Michigan is the best team in college football. Well, now it's their chance to prove it. Because I don't get how you can consider yourself the best team in college football when you're beating up on sorry teams. For you to be considered the best, you have to beat the best. And Michigan has yet to do that up to this point. Now, I'm not questioning Michigan's talent. Michigan is one of the most talented teams in all of college football. They got a veteran team with a lot of experience on both sides of the football, and J.J. McCarthy has looked really good. And you look at Penn State. The last time we saw Penn State matched up in a big game against a big-time opponent, they didn't really look like they belonged on the field with Ohio State in that loss. And although that game was close by the box score, Ohio State, defensively, they neutralized and absolutely boxed Drew Aller in this Penn State offense. I was really disappointed with what I saw out of Drew Aller the last go-around when they were matched up against a top 5, top 10 opponent. Now, they bounced back in a major way against Maryland. And with them playing at home, the home field advantage definitely gives them an added boost and a great chance to be able to pull off this upset. Because believe it or not, 70% of bettors have put their money on Penn State to win this game outright. And why is that? Is that because you just don't know how good of a team Michigan truly is? Like, you can't judge any team based on what they did last season because every season is different. Hell, people thought that Ohio State was going to be way better than what they've shown so far. And with Michigan beating up on bad teams, we truly don't know just how good of a team this actually is. Now, if they come in and they roll Penn State like how they've rolled Indiana and Bowling Green, then I'll give Michigan all the respect in the world. But until they're able to prove it on the field that they have what it takes to blow out a top 10 team, I'm not going to consider this the best team in college football. And Penn State is going to show us the truth about this Michigan football team. Are they indeed one of the best teams in college football? And you look at J.J. McCarthy. There's people who are trying to make a Heisman argument for J.J. McCarthy. I haven't seen J.J. McCarthy go up against any of the top teams in college football. So why does he deserve to be in the Heisman conversation? If Michigan wants to prove they're the number one team and J.J. McCarthy wants to prove that he deserves to be viewed as a legitimate contender for the Heisman Trophy, this game means everything for Michigan. And if they're an elite team like how we feel they are, they should be able to go on the road and handle business because elite teams, what do they do best? They find ways to win, whether they're at home or on the road. Penn State, I think that they match up very well with Ohio State. I don't care if Penn State has a younger roster than Michigan. Penn State is really good up front on both sides of the football. They got one of the best offensive lines in college football and one of the most talented defensive lines in college football. So I don't think that Michigan is going to just neuter Penn State up front. Penn State also happens to have the number one run defense in all of America. What does Michigan do best? They run the football. And if this becomes a game where Michigan has to win this game by just airing the football out with J.J. McCarthy, I don't feel it's going to go in their favor. The last time Michigan had to win a game when they were going air raid, they lost to TCU. And we can say J.J. McCarthy has made massive leaps and bounds and improvement, but does Michigan have the kind of personnel at wide receiver to be able to win a shootout where they have to throw the ball 30 plus to win? I don't think so. You see, what hurt Penn State and their loss to Ohio State was their lack of talent and depth at the wide receiver position. You're going up against a Michigan team that kind of is built similarly to what Penn State has. What is Michigan's talent? What is their outstanding trait about them? The fact that they're such a physical football team and they can wear you down with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. They don't have a stacked group of wide receivers. Now, they got talent there, but I don't think there's any difference between the wide receivers of Michigan and the wide receivers of Penn State. And the fact that Penn State is so good against the run, if they can slow down that rushing attack and they can hold Michigan to under 100 yards rushing and J.J. McCarthy has to win this game with his arm, this becomes a game that could go either way. Now, Michigan can come in here and play their style of football. They can play bully ball and they can just ground and pound Penn State. Then they're probably going to win this game. Drew Aller, like J.J. McCarthy, he has a lot to prove. And so does James Franklin. James Franklin, to me, is super overrated. He is getting paid a lot of money, and yet he's not producing high-end results. He's 3-16 against top 10 opponents. That's unacceptable. Penn State had multiple chances to beat Ohio State. Ohio State didn't have a great offense. The key to Ohio State beating Penn State was the fact that they had Maserati Marv. That was it. Michigan doesn't have a Maserati Marvin Harrison at receiver. They got a solid group of tight ends and okay receivers. So if you're Penn State and James Franklin, you slow down that run game, you feel pretty confident about your chances. But what about how your offense matches up against Michigan's defense? Michigan has a really talented secondary. Mike Sanders still. You got a really good up-and-coming cornerback in Will Johnson, who is a athletic freak and has a similar athletic profile and build to Christian Gonzalez. I wonder how he's going to match up against whoever he has to guard in this Penn State wide receiver room. Penn State needs to get more production out of their wide receivers in this game if they want to be able to win. Drew Aller was the #1 quarterback recruit coming out of his recruiting class. There's no reason why he should struggle in this game. You see, for Penn State to get over the top, you need Drew Aller to play at a high level. You see, J.J. McCarthy, Jim Harbaugh feels like he finally has his Himothy at quarterback. Ryan Day has C.J. Stroud and Justin Fields, 2 really great quarterbacks. Does James Franklin finally has his and Drew Aller? Or is he the reason why some of the quarterbacks in the past, like Trace McSorley and Sean Clifford, have underachieved to an extent? Drew Aller is supposed to be the most talented quarterback that Penn State has ever had come through this program, and he has to prove it in this game. You see, quarterbacks like Drew Aller are supposed to be program changers. Drew Aller is supposed to be the difference between Penn State coming up short and being able to get over the top. When you have this transcendent level of talent at quarterback, you should be able to win big games like this, okay? And it's not like, although Penn State is weak at the wide receiver position, that they're weak elsewhere. They got some really good running backs. You got Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. That's one of the best running back duos in all of college football. Just as good as Michigan's with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. The team I'm taking to win this game, I'm taking Penn State. I'm going to go on a limb and take James Franklin again, even though he made me look retarded when I picked them to beat Ohio State. They're playing at home against Michigan. Michigan hasn't faced a good team all year, and anytime you play to a better opponent than what you have technically played, there's a little bit of an adjustment period. All right, Michigan has been beating up on terrible teams. When you're going up against a team like Penn State, the game's going to be faster. The athleticism is going to be way more, the athleticism is going to be way more impactful. Like, you're not going against anybody that plays for Bowling Green that has the ability that any of these guys on the Penn State defensive line have to get after the quarterback and be able to stop the run. Penn State, I believe, is just as good as Michigan. Michigan just has more experience. Penn State is the younger team, but I don't think there's a big differential in talent between Penn State and Michigan. Michigan has a better offensive line, but I don't think it's by a landslide. Penn State's playing at home. This is supposed to be an elite program, a consistent top 10 program, and you got Drew Aller, a transcendent level quarterback. You should be able to win this game. You got the #1 run defense in all of college football. What Michigan does well is run the football. I don't care how much people try to gas up J.J. McCarthy. He has to show me. And the last time J.J. McCarthy was asked to win a football game, throwing it with no assistance, they lost to TCU. And he didn't really look all that impressive against Ohio State. Like, J.J. McCarthy is a little bit overhyped. People are trying to enamor this guy as the next great Michigan quarterback, a potential first-round pick, when he hasn't shown the ability to play high-level quarterback play against a great defense. And that's what Penn State has. They got a great secondary. They got a great defensive coordinator in Manny Diaz. They got a lot of athletic guys on that front seven who can really get after it. I think that this is going to be a reality check for all the Michigan fans out there that think that this team deserves to be #1 in college football.